Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hope you are doing well. A very warm welcome after summer vacations. Today we are going to start our new lesson. That is our lesson number 2. Pip meets a convict. As it shows from the lesson's name that it revolves around two characters. One character is Pip and the other character is the convict. Convict means a prisoner or a person who found guilty for some criminal offense. You might have seen some prisoner, but maybe in some cartoons or maybe in some movies, might be. So basically this story is written by Charles Dickens. It is a small extract of his novel, right? It is not the whole story. It is just a small extract of his novel that we will be reading here. So, as concerns of the story, before proceeding, I will give you a little, you can say a theme or a little introduction about the story. That this story opens or starts with a narrator whose name is Pip. And who is Pip? Pip is a 7 years old younger boy who is an orphan. Who is an orphan? What is the meaning of orphan? Orphan is a person or a boy or a girl who is not having his parents. His parents has died when he was quite young, right? So he introduces himself and describes an image of himself as a boy, and that boy is standing alone and crying in a churchyard near some marshes. Why he was crying? Because he was standing near the graves of his parents who died soon after his birth. Now comes another character in the story. And who is that character? A prisoner, a convict, with a great iron shackles around his legs and bad condition all in his appearance. What is the meaning of shackles, iron shackles? Iron shackles, can you imagine in your mind? That is a pair of fetters connected together by chains used to fasten the prisoner's wrists or ankles together, right? You can say that shackles are the iron chains that used to fasten prisoners' wrists or ankles together. So, what happens next? There he threatens the boy. Which boy? Pip. He threatened the boy to cut his throat if he doesn't stop crying. The man yells at the boy only to get what he wants. And what he wants, that man who is a prisoner, he wanted from a boy a file and some food. And the boy only responds for the fear of his life. So there is mystery, there is suspense in the whole story. And the whole story revolves around the conversation between a sympathetic character who is Pip's character, and a bullying character. Who is bullying in the story? The convict is bullying in the story. So here we are going to start reading. Hope you have understood about the little introduction. My father's family name is Pirip, and my first name Philip. But as a child, I couldn't say either. So I called myself Pip. And then so did everyone else. Who is telling all that? As I told in the beginning of the story, that narrator of the story is the young boy Pip, whose family name was Pirip and his first name was Philip. So he was found it difficult to pronounce it, so that is why he called himself Pip. What does he call himself? Pip. So everyone else was knowing him as the same name. I say that my name is Pirip because that's what is written on my father's tombstone. And it is what my sister told me. My sister is married to the blacksmith. Here in this story, in this extract of that novel, there is no any dialogue of Pip's sister, but he has mentioned the name of his sister and to whom she is married. She is married with a blacksmith, that he is living with both of them, right? We lived in a marshy area down by the river a few miles from the sea. Marshy means the area, the wetland area by water, and usually it is covered with small plants. One day I stood in a churchyard. What is churchyard? Churchyard is an area around the church used for burials and usually full of tombstones, and looked over my parents' tombstone. Tombstone. What is the meaning of tombstone here? Tombstone means a large flat stone standing or laid over a grave. Can you see here? This is tombstone, where the boy is standing with the very gloomy appearance. At the dark, flat wilderness. What is this word? Wilderness. Wilderness means the area with no people and with no buildings. Beyond the churchyard. Usually it happens that the churchyard are usually located on the areas which are empty with people and from buildings. They are empty areas sometimes. The marshes were crisscrossed with ditches and mounds. Ditches means the area where a ditch is actually a narrow area, narrow channel or waterway. And mounds mean a large pile or quantity of something, right? In the distance I could see the grey line of the river, and then far away the sea. It was cold day. In this whole paragraph, the boy is explaining, the boy whose name is Pip, he is explaining the area around that graveyard where his parents were lying. So, the grey land and the grey sky made me feel sad. I suddenly realized that I was an orphan, and I began to cry. This line indicates that the boy was having grief deep inside him. He was an orphan, and the life which he was spending was deeply realizing him somewhere else in his heart that he is an orphan. So he started, by this deep realization, he started crying. Hold your noise, cried a terrible voice. What is the meaning of terrible? Terrible means extremely bad. Who said this? Hold your noise, cried a terrible voice. It came from a man who had just stepped out from behind gravestone. Keep still or I will cut your throat. From here, the second character, who is a convict, as we read before, who was a prisoner, he has entered in the story now. He is saying to the boy that keep still, otherwise I will cut your throat. Now, the paragraph which I am going to read is about the description of that prisoner. This man was frightening. He was dressed in rough grey clothes and he had a big iron chain on his leg. Can you see the appearance of this man? The way of his dressing, and again the iron chain around his leg. Can you see? He was an escaped convict, right? He was an escaped convict. He might have ran out from the police station. His shoes were broken, and he had an old rag tied around his head, as you can see in the picture. He was dirty from being soaked in a muddy water from the ditches. He was covered in scratches from nettles and stones. He limped. What is the meaning of limped? Limped mean that he was difficulty in walk, and shivered, and glared. Glared mean he was staring, and growled with bad voice. His teeth chattered in his head as he seized me by the chain. Chattered mean that his teeth clicked together repeatedly. Maybe because of fear, maybe because of cold. As he seized. Seized mean take hold of sudden, as you can see in the picture, as the way he is holding him suddenly. So this paragraph is all about the explanation of the prisoner, that how he looked like, and his general appearance, and his at the moment what he was looking like, even the way he limped. It was difficult for him to walk. Maybe he was injured or something like that. "Oh, don't cut my throat, sir," I pleaded in terror. Who pleaded in terror? Pip, the young boy, pleaded in terror. And what is the meaning of pleaded? Pleaded is actually an emotional appeal, and terror means fear. He requested him that please don't cut my throat. "Tell me your name," said the man, quick. "Pip, sir." "Once more," said the man, staring at me louder. Why did he say so? What do you think? Why did he say that, said louder? Because he wanted to make him frightened. That is why he said that once more, and staring him and shouted at him. Actually, this all behavior is known as bullying. He was bullying at him. "Pip, sir, show me where you live," said the man. "Point out the place." Now, what is the next order from the man? "Where do you live?" He is asking him. That point out the place, where do you live? I pointed to where our village lay, a mile from the church. Who pointed? The young boy, Pip, pointed out where his village lay. The man looked at me closely. Then he turned me upside down and emptied my pockets. Why did he empty his pockets? We will know when we will read next. There was nothing in them but a piece of bread. Why? Because boy himself was an orphan. He himself was a very poor boy. The upside down view of the church righted itself when he placed me on a high tombstone. He said, now the Pip is telling, righted me to restore to a normal or upright position. When he placed him on a high tombstone, the Pip is explaining us his feeling that the view of churchyard becomes normal when he make him sat on the tombstone. I sat trembling while he ate the bread ravenously. What is this word? Ravenously. Ravenously means extremely hungry. I sat trembling. Why? Why Pip is telling that he sat trembling? Because he made him upside down. He totally grabbed him. He totally made him frightened. Okay? And as he was so hungry, who was hungry? Who ate the bread ravenously? The convict, the prisoner. He ate the bread ravenously. Now look here, said the man. Where are your parents? There, sir, I said. The man jumped and made a short run. Why? But then he stopped and looked over the shoulder. There, sir, timidly said, pointing to the tombstone. What do you think? Why he became frightened when he pointed out there, sir? Because he thought that the boy is mentioning some live people as his parents. But later on he realized that he is actually pointing out over the tombstones of his parents, right? Mention today's date here till tombstone, and inshallah we will start reading the next part of our lesson tomorrow. Till then, stay blessed.